Hello, welcome. Oh my goodness, did we have some issues yesterday, but we got them all worked out. And we are better than ever now that we got
Yay!
everything worked out. So we had some lessons learned for our guests,
Yes.
and we are on our game today. So, welcome to Monday night's version on Tuesday of the Groomer's Cut. And for everyone joining us, thank you for giving us another opportunity to write in this. We are thrilled to have you here. This evening, it is Christine Newmeyer Smith and myself, Dara Forleo, and we are joined by Kierstin,
Kierstin. Yep.
Kierstin. Okay. And pronounce your last name.
Paroli.
Paroli. Okay, just to make sure. So we have been doing this interview series over the last few weeks, and we did this previously. I did this singly alone through February and March, but tonight and this month we kind of were catching up, revamping, and now we're on a roll. So we would like to introduce you. I was tipped off about your story from one of our students, and she has apparently been following your progress. And Kat introduced you and I, and I asked if you could come on the show. So here you are.
Yes.
What? So tell us a little about yourself first.
Well, in 2018, I started grooming. I was actually a bather for a small business called Brook Park Pet Supply in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. And I graduated from being a bather to starting doing dogs all on my own. And then was doing that till up until September of 2020. I was actually going to go to the Groom Expo that weekend.
Yep.
And it canceled because of the pandemic. So me and another coworker that I'm very good dear friends with, we decided we were going to go four-wheeling, ATVing with my family, which we all have four-wheelers. She's never been four-wheeling before. It was kind of a just second thing. We went, and long story short, it ended pretty traumatically, and I ended up losing my right hand. The first thing out of my mouth was I was never going to groom again. My life was done. Took it very hard, but since then I have two us. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and being like a
Oh,
relatively new groomer at this,
yes,
and just finding this
yes,
career and this passion,
yes.
what,
It devastated me.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
It
Wow.
did. So that was the first thing out of my mind, or first thing out of my thought was I was never going to be able to groom again. Who's going to be able to groom with one hand? Who's going to let me groom their dog with one hand? Through the process, I got a couple prosthetics. I have a myoelectric, very expensive myoelectric, I might add. It's not waterproof. It's robotic, so it goes off of your muscles. That was helping throughout the time, but I couldn't bath dogs with it. I couldn't do anything with dogs with it. My dogs were petrified of it. They hated it. They were scared of it. So then I contacted the same place I went to. It's called Hangers Clinic, and said, "Hey, I need something that's waterproof. I need something that I'm durable, that I'm going to be able to, deal with dogs, deal with things throughout the day." And so they got me this prosthetic I have now. It's a waterproof prosthetic, and we're still kind of tweaking it. I had a hand for it, and now I have a claw type thing. It's kind of looks like a Lego hand.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
moves 360. It has the thing to hook onto it, so I can hold my
Your
not my shears, my clippers, yeah, and stuff like that, where it's harder to get to, like the dog's face. I'm able to hold them with my left hand and groom with that part. I'm getting a wrist for it. That's the next thing we're gonna get for it. And I just did my dogs I have two Australian Shepherds, and I was just doing the basic trims on them. And I would get quite frustrated before the prosthetics, because my one, he's not scared, but he likes to move around and stuff, typical dog. And so I'd put his hand on my right here on my elbow, inside my elbow, and he would take it off, and it would get me so mad because I couldn't do anything with his feet. So I just got so mad at him, not, you know, just threw myself on the floor. I was so mad. Um, then I realized, I needed the other prosthetic. So talked to it was actually an upper arm. That's the only thing he does. He just does upper arm um, prosthetics. Talked to him, and he's been getting me where I need to go. And about 2 months ago, I contacted the place that I work, which is Brookpark Pet Supply, and the owner Jordan was so nice through the whole 2 years of not working. He kept my job basically. Said whenever you're ready to come back, come back. And about 2 months ago, I started coming back and started helping with another groomer, and then I do my dogs on one day out of the week, and I'm starting to get my swing of things back together.
Wow.
Wow. Holy
So,
cow.
like 2 months. You're just back 2 months.
Yes.
Back
I
full
just
time,
started back 2
or
months. So I work 3 days out of the week, and it's from like 12 until 5, and it depends. So if the first 2 days get kind of rough and I'm hurting, or my left hand has not been used like that for a really long
right?
time, so
Mhm.
it definitely gets a lot more sore than my prosthetic hand. um, so depending on what kind of dogs and every, I haven't had anything other than any dog. I do any dogs. I Small dogs, big dogs. I've been kind of doing it all. There are certain spots that are definitely harder, legs, under the armpits, stuff like that. Even with the prosthetic, to figure out what direction to put the prosthetic in, it's definitely different, to say the least.
How with the interaction with the animals? How do you transition them to the arm?
So when
Your
I got the
pros.
myoelectric prosthetic,
Yeah.
yeah. So when I got the myoelectric, my dog was petrified of it. So I
Mhm.
would just lay it on the floor, and he would be petrified of it. He wouldn't go near it. When I got the new hand, it's skin toned. It's not flashy. It's just plain Jane. And he actually was okay with it. So when we started to have me go back to work, um, I said to my boss, hey, I want to kind of trial run to see, how dogs are going to handle it. And I haven't had one dog have an issue with it yet.
Wow.
Oh,
That's
So
nice.
great.
So they just
I
see it
was
as
very
another
surprised with that.
piece of equipment.
Yeah, they don't even like,
Good.
I've had a couple. My friend has a dog that was pretty aggressive. I think something happened prior to when my accident happened. I did him as a puppy, and then now he's 2, and he's scared of groomers, and he is fear biteful and everything else. And I kind of use the prosthetic as a, like, he could bite it, but I would obviously say, ow, that hurts, to let him know that it was still me. And I think that actually helped him a lot, because then he realized that he was hurting me, and he would stop,
Hmm.
and nobody else
Yeah.
would be able to do that because they were too afraid that he was going to bite them.
And it didn't ruin it, or
Nope, it's a
no?
really hard rubber, so it
Is
just,
it?
like, I'm sure when he bit it, he was like, "What is this?" But
Yeah.
other than that, he kind of realized that it wasn't biting wasn't affecting it.
Yeah. And getting a reaction from you.
Right, right,
That's probably because they're always doing something to look for a reaction. I would imagine that similar to
right,
that. But Chrissy knows more about that than I do.
right.
So my question is, was your right hand your dominant hand? Is that the hand that you were learning scissoring and stuff with? Have you had to switch?
Yes, yes. So I had to
Yes.
Yep, so I had to relearn how to scissor with my left hand, and I will say that was definitely a challenge.
Yes.
It still is. I mean, there's some spots I'm like, "How do I even get there?" Like,
Yep. Yep. I'm ambidextrous.
So I had to buy
so
all the scissors.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm
Yeah, so am
ambidextrous, and
I
I
for the
don't
most
have
part.
left-handed scissors, but when we had a left-handed student, I can use the left-handed shears and do it.
Right.
But you know, it's definitely weird to learn how to do it with your non-dominant hand. You know,
It really was. It really,
And
because like even like I'm left-handed when it comes to like writing and stuff, but
Mhm.
then to scissor, in school they always told you, oh, right-handed, right-handed. So, I was always grown up with using the scissors in my right hand. So then when it happened, it was quite a difference.
yeah,
Wow.
you got to
Wow.
teach all the muscle memory's got to be rebuilt and re
Yeah.
teaching yourself just that side. Like Chrissy said, we've used with students that are left-handed, we use a lot of mirrors too, because we can show on the
Okay.
right and they can visualize it on the left looking at it.
Right.
So we do a lot of mirrors also. Maybe that would help. Just thinking about that is
Yeah.
watch somebody do it right-handed but in the mirror and mimic it on the left side.
Right. Right. Yeah, that would
Yeah.
definitely help.
If you have those in your grooming shop.
Well, we did, and then we had them taken down. But now I
Um,
think I'm going to tell them to put them back up.
at least one for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Because it's still
Yep.
really good to watch somebody else doing it when you're like, okay, how do I get in that shape or that area? Things that are so easy to do
Right.
with one hand, but like for whatever reason, your brain just melts with the other hand.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Which way does an
Yeah.
E
I'm
go? Trying to
constantly.
write with the opposite hands? Is that
Oh
hard
God.
too?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I can
So
write
I was
left-handed,
left-handed
but sometimes
normally.
something looks like backwards, and
Yeah. Yeah, I
Wow.
watch a lot of the other groomers. There's technically there's 5 of us. So but they're different times, and so they're not all there at the same time. So I usually watch the 2 out of the 4 that are there. Um and it still amazes me. Like I'll watch them do something and I'm like, "Oh, I bet I could do that." And then I'm trying to do it and I'm like, "But it's not working right."
oh no.
Like the
Yeah.
armpits are terrible. Like I don't know how it's so hard. There's
With the
like I said, there's certain
clippers
spots.
or
Yes,
scissoring with the clippers?
with the with the clippers. Yeah. Yeah, because I
Huh.
don't have that. Now I'm getting like I said, I'm getting a wrist for my prosthetic, so maybe that'll help. But like even to get that swoop in right, it's so much harder than it is with a wrist. And then to hold the dog's
I
foot. So I
gotcha.
have to do it. So I have to do it with
Yeah,
my prosthetic hand instead of my left hand.
Right, right.
because you can't hold
Would
their
it help
foot.
if right? Well, we're just trying to problem solve.
I
Would
know,
it
I
help
know.
if
I'm
you
like,
bring the
I'm
dog to
trying
the
to
edge of the
visualize
table?
it.
Would it help if you bring the dog to the edge of the table so you have a lot more room to move your arm?
I've tried that and it
Didn't
hasn't
help.
worked as in my favor.
Yeah.
Mm.
What kind of shears do you use?
Yeah,
I'm
it's
curious about like what kind of scissors you're using, because
so you're gonna laugh at me. So I bought just normal Amazon grooming shears because I didn't know if I was coming back. So I'm actually in the market
yeah,
for better shears.
Yeah,
because we're going to encourage you to get the Evolution double
we're
swivels.
going to encourage you to get the
Yeah.
evolutions.
Sorry.
Because
Are
that's
they going to
what
be at
we
the Groom
do.
Expo? Because I'm probably going to
Yeah.
go.
They
Oh,
will
okay,
be
Groom
in Groom
Expo.
Expo, yes.
I'll be there too. I'll see you
I
there.
told her
Okay.
you would be there,
Okay.
Mindy would be there, Chris will be there, Jennifer will be
Yep.
there,
Yeah.
Angie will be there.
A lot of us are going to be there. Yeah.
Yeah,
A
it'll be
lot of
my
you are going to
first
be
Groom
there.
Expo.
Ooh, exciting.
Yay. I
That's a
tried to
good
talk her
one to
into
go
coming
Yeah,
to
to.
so I've
Dallas.
never
Yeah, that's a good one to go to.
I'd love to go to Dallas, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, we'll encourage you to try the double swivels, because especially if you're
Okay.
trying to figure out how to reach angles, the beauty of those is that you have a lot more movement and it's a lot easier on your hand.
Right.
They're
Yeah,
designed
because
to
that's
help
definitely one
prevent
thing.
things like carpal tunnel syndrome and things like that. You're going to be doing so much more work with that one hand, that you want
Right.
something that's really ergonomic.
Yeah.
And
Yes, because I'm feeling it now, and I've only been back for 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah, and trying to learn too. Your body is probably stressing a little bit about the changes, and you're overthinking maybe
Yes,
a
yes,
lot
a
of it,
lot.
because and then the frustration. I mean, just having that frustration is enough to set that stress level and just tense you up all over. So,
Well,
um
especially because I know where my grooming was at 2 years ago, and where it's at now is not the same.
yeah.
It quite
Yeah.
like I'm like, I know I could do better, but it's so different. It's I don't even know how to explain it.
You're
Yeah.
you're basically you're starting all over again.
Yep,
You're
yep,
you're starting from ground zero again to relearn everything. At least you have the comprehensive knowledge of it.
right.
Now
And I
it's
know what I want to
the
do.
yeah, exactly. So I think that's probably why it's so much more frustrating right now, is because you had that taste and now you
Yep,
have to get back to that point. Then once you do that,
yep.
though, you're going to find probably something new to focus on that's going to
Oh yeah.
be the next challenge. But I mean, you have overcome so much. I mean, just in the
Oh
and
yeah.
I had no idea it's been such a short period of time that you've come
It
back.
has.
So
Yep.
that's
Yep.
and
Yeah,
you know, go ahead.
when I posted on that, that was like maybe the first week I was back. I was just like, or maybe it was the first 2 weeks or
Wow.
something. Um, but I just wanted to see what other professional groomers, because everybody tells you you're doing a great job just because not that they don't care, but
Yeah.
they know that you're so new back to it. They're like, oh yeah, you're doing fine. Well, I want it like legit
Yeah.
um criticism and stuff. And I mean, everybody was so crazy positive on that site. I mean, obviously, some people, my legs, and I know my legs are terrible because it is so hard to scissor that, and it's so hard to groom that spot with the prosthetic because you have to hold the foot, and obviously,
Hmm.
and maybe with the wrist, it'll be a whole other ball game. And I'm hoping that that's the case, but even just the where I'm putting, like, I have to constantly flip it and reverse it to get different areas of the leg. And dogs are dogs and they move around. So then, some are better than others. And it's
Yeah.
definitely a
Sure.
challenge.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and there is such a wide variety of tools. So when you get to Groom Expo, we'll see how many tools we can get you looking at. There's just so
Yeah,
many.
I'd love that.
Sometimes that's a big portion.
Hmm.
And you mentioned something earlier, and Kathy has a question for you too. But you mentioned
Yeah.
something earlier about like a cheap pair of shears, and a cheap pair of shears can totally make you feel like you don't know how to scissor anymore. There's a
Right.
definite difference with our equipment. Nice high grade equipment, and you might be like, oh, I'm gonna be able to rock this.
Yeah.
Right.
So Kathy is wondering,
Yeah,
what's your
because
current baby goal and what's your biggest goal? Do you have like a
my
short
baby
term
goal
goal?
would short term goal would probably be to go back for a longer period of time because currently I'm only working a couple of days a week. I definitely want to get that clientele back up, and I definitely want all that um, the people and everybody to come back. I have a lot of clientele that I did have, and I don't think all of them know I'm back, but the people that do have been very, very nice. And obviously, oh, you can practice on my dog anytime and stuff like that. But yeah, my goal is to get back to at least where I was 2 years ago.
Hmm.
And
Good.
then my biggest goal would probably be I would love to be a creative groomer one day.
Mm,
I
okay.
recently just bought a little doodle, little mini Bernedoodle thing. To do creative grooms on because I have the Australian Shepherds and you can't do I mean, you can, but not like a
Right.
doodle or a
Not the same.
poodle. Um, no. So I did want a poodle, but they're too expensive at this moment in time. So we got a little doodle, and he's been really good. He's been really a sweet dog so far to groom and everything. And I'm excited to see what I can do with him and do some creative grooms on him.
Very
Nice.
nice.
That's
Yep.
awesome. Yeah, creative grooming is pretty neat.
Yeah, my boss actually went to something zoo. I can't remember what it's called.
Super Zoo?
Super
It's a super zoo. That's what it is. He was just there and he was sending me all the creative groom pictures, and I was like, I want to do that so bad. It looks so much fun.
Yeah.
So Kathy just posted on here. I don't know if you're seeing the chat, but you only need one hand to
Oh, yep,
airbrush, and you've got this. Yep. Because
that's true.
airbrushing, you don't need to do like the full dyeing and stuff for some of the creative stuff.
Yeah.
Airbrushes are pretty cool.
Right.
There's also abstract.
Yeah. That's
Yes.
true.
That
True.
would be.
Yeah.
So you got options. Well, it sounds like you're on the right path. I mean, my gosh, coming from that. Anybody out? We've got quite a few people in our viewing room. Does anybody else have any questions or anything? Chrissy?
So I always have more questions.
I know you
Help
do.
myself. I always have more questions. So I have a question for you about are you able to do bathing with this new prosthetic? Is that something that's
So
off the
I
table for
actually
you, or are you?
nope. So I bath without the prosthetic. I just scrub them pretty good with my nub.
Oh, okay. All right. So
Yep.
you
So
are
I get
still
them all
doing all
nice
of
and
that.
wet and yep,
Good.
yep.
Good. Now, do you need to do like extra shoulder stretches and exercises and stuff since this is putting
I
all of that stress on your
probably
shoulder?
should. I don't,
You haven't looked
but I
into it
probably should. No.
yet? I'm just wondering if like a physical therapist would tell you like, okay, you're going to do all of that on your shoulder and your neck on one side,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
because we want you to be healthy, you know, and keep going and
Right.
not be
Right.
like in pain with something else later.
Yeah. I
On
never even
those,
really thought about.
Yeah.
about that, yeah. On that kind
Yeah.
of
Think about it before you're our age.
yeah, yeah. But I was actually gonna say, have you thought about tracking your progress, like journaling it just as a again your accomplishments and everything you have done to be able if it should happen to someone else and to have this is what I did, this is how I did it. I mean, you came from a major accident with a huge injury, and
Right.
the mental turmoil and the trauma that you went through for and then the comeback and now
Right.
this. So any type of, it could just a
So
thought.
I usually am taking pictures of all the dogs that I do because I don't do a lot of dogs throughout the day. I probably only do like 3 or 4 of them, depending on how big and stuff. And I do take before and afters all the time. And I also like like if I see something on that picture, I'll put a note to myself, where I need to work on a little bit better.
Mhm.
Um, and I definitely could probably start doing a journal just in case there is somebody else out there that, loses a hand and
Yeah, I
can't
think
groom again.
thinking just because you're so inspirational that to have that is
Yeah.
would be a nice I
Yeah,
don't
like
know.
like when the accident happened, I posted on another grooming Facebook place and asked if there was any one-handed people, and there was like slim to none.
Yeah.
There may have been a couple, um, but and it wasn't even like there's somebody would comment, oh, this person like has one hand, or they're doing this, or they can't use their one hand, but it's never really been, I've never seen anybody go from nothing and then to go back.
Yeah.
Right, right. I don't know, but I don't know how often that happens. I mean,
Right.
There might be somebody out there who has. I don't know anybody, but
Yeah, that's
that's
what I mean.
great.
I've been looking and you don't hear of anybody else. And
Yeah, yeah. Um, do you find that you still have habits where you reach out that to do something with your right hand and like it's like you're messing
yes.
yourself up because you're trying to use it all the time and it's not the same?
So like in a normal day to day, sometimes I forget it's that I don't have a hand, and like I'll drop something and I'll try to catch it. That hasn't happened yet at the grooming part of it, but like my phone drops and I try to catch it with my right hand, and I'm like, oh, don't have a hand. Oops.
Okay.
But yeah, it hasn't really happened yet in the grooming. I'm pretty cautious of, where my hand is or where my nub is. And like I take my prosthetic on and off all day long because there's like, I
Yeah.
rather, because you don't have that feeling of like, when you're grooming, you can feel where stuff is. With the prosthetic, you can't really feel that. So I'm always a little nervous, like if there is a skin tag or something that I can't feel because I don't have that feeling in that arm. So I do
Mm.
try to use my hand most of all, but then places that I can't do that, then the prosthetic comes out. So I'm like changing it out every 15 minutes, honestly.
Wow. Wow.
Wow. How do the hair splinters affect?
So I get them a lot in I get them a lot in the crease of my good arm, and I'm like, I can't get them. I don't know how to get them out
Ah,
because I can't grab them.
yeah.
But I do get like in my hand too. I get those splinters, and you kind of have to just go over to the next person and, hey, can you get this off?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Kathy's got a lot of
That and like the smock.
oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah. The grooming smocks. Sure.
I
Yeah.
have a I had to get a zipper smock because I couldn't get it over me, and then I can't get it zippered either. So I always have to walk over to the next person and say, "Hey, can you zip me up, please?"
Right. Right. They have pullovers,
Hmm.
if that helps you. So Kathy
Yeah,
mentioned,
yeah.
have you
Well,
looked into enablingfuture.org rather? And I'm not
Yeah.
familiar with them, but
I'm not
enablingfuture.org.
familiar with that either.
Um, so no, she
Yeah.
hasn't looked into it
I'll
yet,
have to look
Kathy.
into that.
Thank you.
Yeah. She said people
Yeah.
all over the internet are 3D printing prosthetics that can do all kinds of functions. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty neat stuff.
there's a lot of different prosthetic like 3D printing. I can't remember the one off the top of my head that I've been looking into. Um,
Yeah.
but there is a lot of different things that people have been doing with the 3D printers. I mean, I'm curious to see
Hmm.
if there's somebody out there that knows something about grooming and made I don't know, an attachment for it or something.
Right, right. Or
Yeah.
something that helps anybody hold a tool. There must be something out there. I
Right,
mean, at the end of the day, much of what we do is holding a tool. So if it's able to swivel
right.
around or twist,
Yeah.
it's really,
That's
I think the
it's really
wonderful,
biggest
Kathy.
challenge
fascinating. Good.
I think the biggest challenge is the fact that I can't scissor with my right hand
Yeah, yeah,
because of the prosthetic. Obviously, can't move it.
yeah.
Hmm.
No, the way you were taught to groom, was it a lot of hand scissoring, or were you guys using snap-on combs for a lot of your trims?
It was a lot of snap combs.
Yeah.
Um, I was taught by two of the groomers at Brook Park. So I was bathing, and then they were, first I started with the rough cuts, and then they would kind of tweak and go, okay, here, now try this. And one's an older lady and one's a younger lady. And the younger lady, she's my age, and actually she was the one at the ATV accident with me. So she was taught, she went to school, and the other one did not. So um, I had both of those people trying to teach me. So I have a quite a bit of different all over the place.
Good, good. Because I remember, everybody gets taught differently, and I was taught without snap-on combs, and the idea of like trying to get
Right.
trim stuff that's so scissor heavy, and then you start learning about snap-on combs,
Yeah.
and then there's a lot of ways that you can blend with the snap-on combs and really get down to just using your shears for detail work and
Details.
finishing work. You know, a lot
Yeah,
of
that's
different
what I
methods.
try to do.
Yeah, good, good. I don't know who the Facebook user is, but they are sending
Yeah.
all sorts of great messages in here.
Yeah.
Hey, Facebook user, just add your name underneath. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing what you've done. It's amazing how far you've come.
It's probably
Yeah.
a family member, honestly.
It might be.
Well, that's
That'd be
great.
fine. It
Welcome.
might not be. Groomers are pretty nice.
Groomers are,
Groomers are ready to coach each other. We like coaching each other. But yeah, I'm trying to think of other
well,
great
I
questions.
was just going to ask about, I know you're clippering right-handed. Can you clipper left-handed and hold with?
Yes.
And okay. Because I know
Good.
I do a
Yeah,
lot
so
of
like
left-handed.
yeah, like so
clippering.
like I said, most of the time I try to use my left hand for everything. And what I can't, I do use the prosthetic. Mainly the heads, ears. I don't, if you could find out how to do ears with one hand, please let me know. Like a leathering ear, please let me know. Because I'm petrified I'm going to hurt the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard. It's hard.
Mhm.
And I think too that like most of us have always relied on two hands, obviously. But even when it was injured, it just turned into a big block that you're just like, okay, can I block this dog's head out of the way so I can clip her with this hand, and can I block his chin this way? And that it just ended up being like a martial art thing. You're just like, I'm gonna throw up a block. Times when I've had my hand in a
Right.
splint. But it's not something I've ever had to rely on for a long time. And now I'm just kind of trying to think of all the different things that are out there to help you.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried
Yeah.
clipper back?
No. I'm not sure.
Vacuum attachment for your clippers?
For your clippers, yeah. The clipper back.
Yes.
Clipper back.
So
Yeah?
my one friend has one and she swears by it, and she was telling me that I need to come to her salon to try it out to see if I like it and then invest in one, because I thought that would probably help too, because it sucks
Nice.
up the hair, it sucks up where you're starting to comb or where you're starting to clipper at.
Yeah.
She said she really likes it, so that was one of the things I wanted to look into, probably at the Groom Expo, honestly.
Good. We'll make sure you find some, even if I have to bring the
Yes.
clipper back with me. I like clipper back. It's one of the tools that can be a shortcut, and then you do your finish work over it. But if it means that you don't have to do as many strokes with the clipper and can blend differently, and
Yeah. Wow.
Well, Dara knows I like toys, so.
I know she does. Yeah, she's more of a junkie.
Yeah, like I said, I've never.
I'm a tool junkie.
Yeah,
and
like
then
I've
if you give
never.
it to me in multiple colors, I'm like, ooh, there's a purple one.
Yeah, I don't think I've been exposed to a lot of the different things that are out there. Like I said, it's just a small little groom shop that we just do a lot of pet grooms, and there's a lot of there's a lot of different things.
Are you using cordless clippers?
No, I am not. Okay. I bought the clippers I have now right before the accident, actually, for it was a little it was like 6 months before the accident. They were like my year present to myself. I bought myself a decent clipper.
Nice.
And I just haven't, with coming right back, I haven't really looked into any. Like I said, I bought the cheap shears just because I was trying to do my own dogs, and I didn't necessarily care that they were crappy shears or not. But because I never thought I was ever going to come back. I honestly did not know I was going to ever come back. And then one day I just was like, I got to try it,
I was going to ask you, how long did it take for you to decide to just give it a go?
I think what really pushed it was that I was so bored. I had a daughter in between the accident and coming back, so that also was
Congratulations.
probably part of it, that I was, thank you, that I didn't go back as soon as I wanted to. But again, the prosthetic was the whole big thing. Like, it took 2 years to get the right prosthetic. You know, you never know what you're gonna, how you're gonna, or what you're gonna use until you get it, and then you realize that it's nothing that you needed. Like the myoelectric, I love it. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen. It's flashy, which made me nervous. Being out in public, I that was another big thing I had issues with, was like people staring. I also self-trained my own service dog in between the
Oh, wow,
accident and
great.
going back to work. Yep, she was 7 months old when the accident happened, so she was pretty well ground trained. And then I ended up fully training her into a service dog. So she picks things up for me. She opens doors. She does a whole bunch of different stuff. Very good
And
dog. And
that's your
she was
groomer
kind of
poodle?
the
Is
no,
that your
no,
groomer
that's
poodle?
my one nope, it's my
Your
one
Aussie?
Australian Shepherd. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So I have two Australian Shepherds, and my youngest one was um, very eager to help. So we just ran with it. And I mean, she's such a great dog. And um,
Fabulous.
she definitely she definitely made me want to go back, just because I loved working with her, and I missed being with the animals. I missed
Yeah.
the grooming part of it. I missed loving up on the puppies, loving up on, all the dogs that I've groomed before. And when I came back, there was a lot of them that did come back to me, and their client, or the clients were just so excited that I was back, and they said, just do what you got to do. We understand if you don't have things right, but they all know that it's a training process, and they know it's only going to continue to get better.
Awesome.
So I've had
Awesome.
a lot
Sounds
of
like they're
support.
being really supportive. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Oh,
That's
yes.
good. Now, does your service dog come to work with you? Does she help you out at work too?
Yes, she does. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she does help me sometimes at work, but she's usually just in the kennel hanging out. And then, if I go somewhere after work, she's already there and ready to go.
Fabulous.
Wow.
How has this affected things like driving and other like just day-to-day stuff? I mean, I'm trying to think of like
So I was
it must have affected so
I
much
was
more than just
super
your
nervous
grooming.
driving.
Yeah.
Oh, it did. The driving, in the beginning, it scared me. I didn't want to drive. My grandma actually has like a little Fiat, and that was like the best little car ever to drive around in, because it was so compact that I could reach the other side of the car with my right hand, or sorry,
Yeah.
with my left hand. And so I was driving that for a while, and then I graduated into my own vehicle. I don't drive very far. I probably drive at least 30 miles, and then I'm done. It's definitely a nerve-wracking thing to drive with one hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I try to avoid big cities for sure.
Yeah. No parallel parking.
Nope.
Did you have any
I
modifications
actually
for
just
your
got a
car?
new I did not, but I did upgrade my car. So I wanted a car that had the push to start, and the driving assist for like the blind spots and stuff like that, just because it was going to be so much easier um, than the other car I had. It was pretty plain Jane, key, turn, and that was rough on
Right.
my wrist.
Yeah.
Trying to
Yeah.
do that with the opposite arm and reaching around and
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
And I
All the
still go
things you don't think
ATVing.
about.
Mm,
Yep. Yep, and I still go ATVing. We even got
good.
my four-wheeler, which was not what my accident was in, was a side by side. But I have a four-wheeler, and we got it modified so I can drive it with my left hand.
Fabulous.
So
I'm glad to hear that you're
yep.
still
So I
doing that.
still do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
So
awesome.
just one coming achievement after another.
Yep. Well, I got on the four-wheeler. It was probably about a week after I got out of the hospital. We went on a four-wheeler ride, but I was a passenger. I didn't drive it.
Yeah.
But that
But
was
it
something
made
that we
you
always just,
go, I gotta still do this.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
That's
Yeah, you
that
can't
was,
let stuff, things happen for a reason, and that's what I've always stuck to.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Well, so do you see anything? You're gonna stay where you're at the shop for a while and continue there, or any future
Yep.
plans
I think,
of?
well, I think for a while I'm going to stick with where I'm at. And then eventually I'd love to start up my own salon, or,
Mhm.
you know, sky's the limit at that point.
Yeah, seems like it. I mean, you've got a lot of options, but they've been good to you and very helpful,
Oh,
and
yes.
it's always good to have that that support and that system.
Oh, yes. Everybody was so supportive, and I never had an issue with losing my arm. That was never,
Mhm.
coming out of, when they did it. I never had an issue with losing my arm. It was always the grooming. I was never going to be coming back to it. So
Wow.
to come
That's
back
pretty
to it just
resilient to
kind
be
of,
like, oh.
yes.
Wow, that's pretty resilient.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I'm
I knew
glad you
one day
found
I
a
was
way
going to
to
be
get back.
back. I didn't think this soon.
I'm glad you found your way back to it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
and
think
that
for
you
some
have.
of us, it's a calling. It's just something you just can't get out of your
Oh,
system.
it is. Oh, it is. Like I said, it's not like I'm going to work. It's like I'm going to, my second home. I love grooming. I love the dogs, that. And even when the accident happened, I was still going to work to hang out with the groomers just because I couldn't stay away. I had to be
Cool.
there.
Yeah,
So I just sit there and watch them groom, and I try to do it a little bit, but then I obviously get frustrated. I was like, okay, you guys do it.
yeah. So what do you do when you get frustrated? Like, do you end up like just taking a break? Like, okay, nothing is
Yeah.
quite working right. Can I just take a break and recalibrate? Like, what do you do?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I usually will, if a dog's cuz I get some wiry dogs. And when they're too wiry or I've had it, I'll take them off the table, put them in the cage, walk outside, take a nice deep breath, you know, just kind of sit there for a second and remind myself that, I'm so new to it all over again that I need to give myself some credit. Cuz I do, like I said, it's very frustrating when you can do something better and you can't do it, or
Yeah.
it's just not coming out like you want it to, like what you can do and then it's not what you can do. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
and then
When
I'll
you
go
know
back and
enough
start
to
all
know
over
every
again, and
mistake, when you know enough that you
yep.
can see every
Yeah.
mistake and you're just beating yourself up over it, don't beat yourself up. You're doing great.
Yeah.
You know?
I try. I try. And I think the dogs know it too, because when I come back they'll be like, I'm sorry, and they'll like
Oh,
behave better than what they were.
Well, I think sometimes dogs
It's
need a break
crazy what
too,
dogs
because when
know.
we get
Right.
frustrated, they get frustrated too. You know, and
Right.
sometimes it's hard to tell which one became frustrated first.
Right. And
But
like another thing that I've used that I didn't use before is a belly band. I've never had the dogs in a belly band before, and I've noticed that is a whole other ball game for the wiggly dogs that constantly want to turn around, and um, it just helps so much easier to have them more still.
yeah, and when you use those, for a lot of dogs, it makes them feel safer on the table, and it makes you feel like you're not going to have to try to catch them. You
mm,
know,
Right, and I've noticed that too.
yeah,
Yeah, because
because
one of
that
my
makes you
one
feel
of my
like they're not the
fears.
fall. Yeah,
Right. And one of my fears is they will, freak out and try to get off the table, and then how am I supposed to catch them?
yeah,
And I
yeah.
felt like the other day I had a dog escape from the kennel and I was the only one there, and I was like, how did you even get out? And thankfully, they were both good with each other, and I just grabbed the one that was on the table, stuck her in the cage, grabbed the other one, put him back in the cage, and I don't know how he got out, but he did.
There are dogs that are escape artists.
mm.
My I had a
Yes.
dog in my past that could open bear kennels from inside. We don't know how.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. We had to just teach her, like, no, you've been asked to be in there. Yeah. So some dogs are real escape artists. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're doing so well with it, you know? Um, so, what do you want people to know about, like, if somebody has an injury like this? Like, what if we run into somebody who has an injury like this? Like, what's the best thing we can do?
Never stop dreaming on your dream.
Yeah. All right. That's good.
And
Just go for it.
go for
Yeah.
it.
Just
Do
go
it.
for it. Awesome. Awesome. Because, I think that you really inspire so many of us because we're all left kind of going like, what would I do? What would I do? I don't know
Yeah,
if I'd be as strong as
you
you
never
can.
realize.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
never
know.
realize how much you use both hands until you don't have it.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Well, the other thing you should be really proud of is that you even took that leap of faith and jumped out there and posted yourself.
Yeah, that too.
Right.
Good job on that. And
Yeah,
hopefully you're feeling the love. Because,
yeah.
yeah,
I do. It was a very overwhelming love.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's pretty amazing.
How far are you from Groom Expo? Will you be staying there or
um
driving?
so so it's about an hour and a half to Hershey,
Okay,
which is
that's
where
not
it's
bad.
at. No. So, I'll probably be going with my mother just so I have another. I can't drive that far,
Yeah.
so she'll be driving me, and then we'll probably maybe 2 of the days maybe we'll go down. My aunt lives in Hershey too, so maybe we'll just make a weekend thing out of it and go over to
Yeah.
her house.
Yeah.
I
Well,
have family down there making a weekend of it. Yeah.
you should
Visit family.
definitely take
Yeah.
Chrissy's class.
Oh, yeah, I'm teaching at Hershey. Teaching 2 things at Hershey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you
So
could
I'll
do
look you
some.
up anyway because we'll get a chance to meet in person.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd
I
love
was
that.
gonna say we'll exchange here after everything. So, see, you're very emotional. You should.
Yeah.
I know.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I'm so glad that everybody has been like, yeah, come on, back to work and give it a
Yeah.
try. And, you know, um, yeah, it's really great that you're surrounded by those kind of groomers and those kind of pet owners. You
Yeah.
know,
And
I think sometimes
and
people
I'm
get,
very thankful for my,
frustrated with coworkers and customers, but it sounds like you've got a really great bunch of people around you.
well, and I was so worried to go back that people were going to be like, "Oh, a one-handed groomer is going to groom my dog." Like, I don't want that. And I haven't had one person do that yet. I've had people kind of shocked when I walk out the door and I have one hand, but they're always
Yeah.
like, "Oh, yeah, whatever." Never had anybody with a big issue yet. So,
Mhm.
that's a big plus because I think that would probably ruin my day.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That's something someone else can handle for you. Just tell them like, go talk to him. You know?
Stick your manager on them.
Yeah, stick the manager on him.
Oh, he will. The boss would definitely hike him down.
Oh yeah. We have no reason to do business with you. Out,
Yeah. So, well,
So
we appreciate you coming on too.
yeah,
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, do you have another question, Chrissy?
I was just gonna say, I'm
Yeah.
so glad we get a chance to talk and that it went better than last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, it's well.
The
It's
internet
okay.
just does what the internet wants to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad we get a chance to talk to you. I feel like
Yes.
there are thousands of more
Yes.
questions, but I'm kind of overwhelmed by all this information already. You're just really inspired me to,
Yeah.
think
Thank
more
you.
about like, wow, all the things that, would I have continued? I like to think I would, but I'm not really sure. I think you're really brave.
You
Yeah.
honestly, you would never know unless you go through it because like I said, when it happened, I thought I was never coming back, and here we are 2 years later, and getting back to it and better than ever. So
Good.
Yeah.
So, and you're balancing that with a small child at home too?
yep, she's almost 10 months old.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Wow.
He's a handful.
On top of everything else.
On top of everything else.
On top of everything else.
A 10-month-old at home. Wow.
And a puppy.
Oh yeah, and a puppy.
And a puppy. We don't talk about him.
Okay. We don't know about him. Very good. Well, we're going to keep up with you. We want you to keep in touch with us and let us know how you're doing and where you're at and what's going on and what we can do to help you, and if there's anything. So
yeah, definitely.
We'll get you hooked up with Chrissy in Hershey, you and your mom.
Yes.
Yep. I'll meet up together. Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and she can take you shopping.
Yeah.
Yes,
we'll go shopping,
I need that.
We'll pick things up and play with them and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I said, I've never been to a groom expo, never done any of that, so it'll definitely be overwhelming.
With some tour guides. There are a bunch of people who are gonna. Yeah. We'll look out.
You'll be in good hands.
Be a lot of fun.
Good deal.
Good hands. All right. Well, do we have any more comments from our chat room tonight?
Don't see any more.
No. Thank you, Kathy, for your information and the link. I think we'll hang on to that for Kierstin.
Yes.
And thank you for everyone who joined us this evening. And we will be back. Yes, we will be here next week. Correct, Chrissy? You and I will be on next week. Okay.
Yeah.
So watch for next month's episodes and what we'll be doing here on the Groomer's Cut. So hang out with us after the show, and Kierstin, and I just got a couple things, and we will see everyone next week. Oh, and if you're not going to see us next week, have a great holiday weekend.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
It was great meeting you.
Nice meeting you. Thank you for coming on. We've
appreciated nice meeting you guys
and
too.
Enjoyed. Stay on. Don't leave yet. We're going to have closing credits.
We'll talk to you after.
Okay. Okay.